when I wanted to make the shift to be more myself, throw a cuss word in here.
Oh, you curse so much. You talk about a lot now.
Okay, let's not get crazy.
YouTube has changed like 4 different times since you've started.
But I look back and I'm like, just how inauthentic it felt.
What's going on in your channel? It's all naturally manifesting from your life.
It was an intentional shift that I knew was going to put me in the red.
How did that feel when you saw those numbers going down?
Took it as a sign of success.
You know, you've bragged to me about your Feet Finder profile.
5 stars, baby.
So, do you want to make content forever?
Such a terrifying question.
LaurDIY has done YouTube for over 10 years. And today, she's still sane, relevant, and making content. She's even hosted her own HBO show and angel invested into companies with Ashton Kutcher. In an era where it seems every YouTuber is quitting, getting burned out, or canceled, Lauren has figured out how to turn YouTube into a life, into a career. And today, she shares her secrets on how to do YouTube sustainably. If you're a creator watching this, my company Karat just rolled out a new perks program for creators where you get 50% off on Epidemic Sound, 35% off on CapCut, and more. Details on this later and link in description below. 3, 2, 1. Are you not going to give me a high five?
Okay, yeah, go.
Whoa, you just up. Okay, 3, 2, 1.
No, you gotta keep that first one in there. That was brutal.
Yeah, the one where you completely left me hanging.
Also, I want to be so clear that no one's ever started a podcast with a high five. That's how you sync audio.
You sync a pod by clapping your hands.
Yeah.
But like friendship, isn't it better if we clap hands together? Like high five style?
I guess.
Yeah.
You were just kind of forward. I was like, oh boy, here we go.
Every single, yeah. And you left me hanging. Just like, by the way, I'll add, the first time we ever met.
I knew.
I'm never going to let go of this. The precedent has been set. I just want you to know, every single podcast I've done with Chloe, we start with a high five.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had my hand out and there was nothing.
I'm so sorry to leave you hanging like that.
Yeah, very sad.
Won't happen again.
Friends, welcome. This is Lauren, LaurDIY, DIY queen, over 10 million followers across all her platforms. Been doing YouTube since you were 19, 14?
No, 19, you're
19.
right. You're right. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I looked this up. I was like, you don't remember?
No, you're right.
Okay, you've been doing YouTube for over 10 years. And here's the kicker. She's still here. You're still sane. You're still, yeah, I think so. Well, it's a spectrum.
It's a spectrum.
You haven't been canceled. Still putting out content.
Yes.
And this is what I find the most fascinating thing. You're just a good human being.
Still.
Yeah. A lot of people, you meet them on camera and off camera, they're different.
Yeah, that's true.
And you are just a wholesome persona on and off camera. It just feels like a continuous, complete human being.
That's very nice.
And I love that.
I'm gonna make that my IG bio. A complete human being.
To be clear, human being spelled B-E-A-N.
B-E-A-N.
Yes,
yeah,
a complete
being.
Human being. So Lauren has this analogy where she describes people in stages of being cooked.
Yes.
Like, are you just raw ingredients or have you been fully baked and cooked and set and developed?
I would say that I'm like a medium well.
Really?
Yeah.
I assumed you're like close to completion.
I feel like, can you ever really be fully complete though?
You know, as they say, right? We're both the sculptor and the block of marble.
I feel like I'm like putty. I feel like I'm like
putty. You're
putty.
not marble. You're putty.
I'm putty.
Like Play-Doh.
Like silly putty.
Oh. So what parts of your life do you think you have figured out? And what are the big things you're still yet to be seen and developed?
See, like this is the category where like maybe I'm not medium well because I feel like there's still so much. Okay, here's what I have figured out. I've figured out I'm married, so I feel like that's like one, like if I'm looking at my life in the form of a to-do list, which is very type A, and you know,
are you type A?
I'm so type A.
Yeah, you have a super type
Eric,
A.
you've worked with me before.
I know.
You know that I'm type A.
I know. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, this entire set Lauren made, and there was like lists and lists of things that I needed to do.
You know what? You want to start with a roast about how I ghosted you? Let's start with an Eric roast.
Oh.
For this shoot on the makeover of this wonderful home and now podcast set for Eric.
Because Lauren saw I was living like a not sane person.
Like a not sane person. It was slightly alarming. He looked like a psychopath and it was in squalor. And so we fixed it because you deserve to have a healthy...
Because Lauren is an amazing friend.
Working home.
Yes.
And so we did a video. And so I was like, Eric, I need you out of the house at 9 a.m. I've got like deliveries coming. I'm also going to be there. The guy that was going to help me like mount and put furniture together. Everyone's coming at 9 a.m. I need you out by 9 because I don't want you to see any of the pieces coming into your apartment.
Yes, you want the big unveiling, the reveal.
This undercooked man sets his alarm for 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Crazy.
We're in LA.
Also,
in LA, 9 a.m. means 10 a.m.
That is crazy. Also, the context is that Eric was also staying over at my house and was also doing a podcast that day, so would have had to like pack clothing.
Yeah, like pack stuff from my house to go to yours.
And to also go to pickleball and do a podcast and for the next day.
So, 9 a.m. alarm, because then I'll wake up at 9, I'll be out by 9:15, and I assume you're going to be there like 9:30.
One, I busted in with the key and I opened up the murder dungeon, which is
bang, bang, bang.
And I was like, Eric, good morning. It's
literally,
makeover day.
I'm in a closed room with doors. She opens the door, just sticks out her head and goes, hey.
I didn't turn any lights on though, and there was no filming, no phone flashlight.
You're so lucky I don't sleep naked.
You know what, though? I weighed that, and I was like, you don't seem like a naked sleeper kind of guy.
So you considered the risk and proceeded anyways.
Yes, I did.
Great. Amazing.
I was like, I think there's a very, very low chance. Where it's like our friend Zach, we just know he sleeps in the neighborhood.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
And I know this because I've slept in hotel rooms with him for EDC, and I wake up and he's just completely naked.
Exactly.
So, yes, we know he sleeps naked.
But I was
you decided I'm not.
There's such a low chance that you're not. Also, I know that your pajamas are from Amazon Essentials because I've seen them before.
Wow, you know your decor well, as expected of a DIYer. They are from Amazon Essentials.
Also, pajama pants, not decor, but close enough.
Yes. They count because there are things I put on my body that aren't just like a potato sack.
You as Eric. So anyways.
So you open the door, you yell at me to wake up.
And then he, half asleep, walks around with a trash bag, puts things in for his
Lauren,
day.
You flashbanged me. Like, my room is completely dark, and you open it and just yell at me. There is light. There is sound. I have just woken up. And then you're like, get out. It's time. We're going.
And
I have to go. And yes, I had a trash bag because I didn't have anything else, and just slowly collect everything I knew I needed for the day.
And I was like, Eric, go!
Which included my laptop, my charger, my toiletries,
shoes,
clothes, because I was going to stay over at your place, pickleball paddles,
all into the trash bag.
By the way, I got all of this done by 9, 10 a.m. And the whole time, Lauren is just standing there
I'm judging you.
Tapping her foot.
I'm like, who sets their alarm? Who has to be out at 9 a.m. and sets their alarm for 9 a.m.?
Waiting
That's
for
crazy.
me.
That is unhinged.
Waiting.
I also know how much you like to wash your face. And I'm like, I would have thought that you would have built that time in for yourself.
You're just exposing me right now. Because, I have
you like to wash
problems.
your face?
Yeah, you got to wash your face.
That's good hygiene.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would have thought you would have padded some time in there to make space for that. Anyways, the video went great. The makeover is wonderful. And coming back 1 month later, everything is still
mostly.
It's
like 90%.
90%.
A-.
I would maybe give it a B+.
Wow.
But just because the plates are starting to collect dust, but that's okay.
She set an entire table for 8 people with plates and napkin knots, and I haven't touched them or moved them.
Oh my God, you have a dishwasher.
But they haven't been used.
Think about even my grimy little Target hands being all over them, making sure they're not chipped. And then times that by a bajillion
think
people.
about that.
That's yucky.
See, this is what I love about you. This is you on and off camera. Your life, your content, everything we just talked about.
Yeah.
That's just how you roast me normally.
Yeah. Well, I also feel like this is your podcast, and I feel like you probably
Which is why you immediately wanted to start and just give me shit for the first 10 minutes.
Okay, one, you started it first.
Well, all I said was you left me hanging, which literally was true.
Yeah, that else is true, yeah.
Actually.
That's true. That did.
Wait, okay, well, now I'm going to roast Lauren.
Go ahead.
You know what? Forget these questions. We'll get to them. We're going to get to them in a second. Lauren's brought this upon herself. So I met Lauren because over the course of her 10 plus YouTube career, I'm trying to tie it back at least a little bit. She's also become an angel investor who invests in company, deploys capital. I run a creator company and reached out to Lauren being like, hey, would you be interested in Karat? Mm-hmm. We had such a lovely phone conversation and then nothing. Nothing. No reply. 2 years pass. And in the back of my head, I'm like, wow, she seems really great. I guess I'll never really know.
At least I left a good enough impression that even to outweigh, or not even outweigh, but maybe balance out the ghosting, you were like, oh, she's not.
Well, yeah, you were really nice. So then I saw you at a creator event 2 years later, and I went and approached you, managed to get through Jeremy stonewalling me for 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's so funny because I had no idea that was happening.
You don't know that he does this? You don't know when your husband stands to his 6-foot+ height, crosses his arms, and scowls at somebody that he's trying to protect your time?
I feel like we're like a foot apart. You know what I mean? So whatever's happening up there,
you don't even know.
I don't.
He's your silent protector.
That's not my business. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm down here.
He was like, physically, you look at body language in space, I felt like he was literally going to pull the bodyguard move and just be like, excuse me.
I do know that he does that, but I don't remember that from the interaction.
Okay, in fairness, though, you are super nice. And even I now have done this sometimes where you're in conversation with somebody and I'll be like, hey, Lauren, you doing okay?
Yeah. Or you'll like find a really gracious way to pull me out of a conversation because you know that you can see, you know that the conversation has probably run its course.
But you like talking to people, you like getting to know them.
I don't have great exit strategies.
On the list of things that Lauren still needs to bake and develop,
not cooked.
We found number 1, not yet fully cooked, Lauren's ability to just
exit strategies, which you know what?
Exit conversations and say no.
Runs very consistent through so much of my life because I'm really, really awful at breaking up with people. Like I stay in relationships too long.
No.
When it's run its course already.
Why are you staying in them?
I think because...
Hi, hello, wait, don't go anywhere. If you're a creator, you are not going to want to miss this. My name's Quinn, I'm a YouTuber and I also work here at Karat, and I'm here because Karat is launching a new perks program for creators. If you set up a business bank account with us, you get access to thousands of dollars of perks from your favorite creator tools. We have discounts like 50% off on Epidemic Sound, $100 back into your account from Spotter Studio if you sign up through Karat, 50% off on a Notion Pro subscription, and so much more. The team here has worked incredibly hard to put together the best set of perks for a creator business, and I personally think that they have done an amazing job. Again, we are talking thousands of dollars of value here, so if you don't want to miss out on that, you can sign up today through the link in the description. Now, back to the podcast.
I think because I tend to want to give it 110% so that like when I leave the relationship or when I break up with someone, there's never in the back of my mind or like,
any doubt.
Could I have tried this? Or like, should we have, worked on this a little more to see if it could work out? Like I really run it to the ground, which is not great because you should respect your own time and yourself.
Yeah, wait, what's going on? You seem like a secure person.
Uh-huh.
In a previous podcast we've done on Wild Till 9, you said you feel you're worthy of being loved.
Mm-hmm.
So in a relationship, you know you can find somebody else who appreciates you, right?
Yeah.
And also even the note of 10 plus years as a creator, your relationships have actually to a large degree been public as well.
Yeah.
And so what helps you get to the point where you're like, oh, this is finally when I need to exit?
Once has been a couples therapist. That was just like, you guys should break up.
Oh, so somebody else.
Somebody else, like a third party.
Yeah.
Which was good because I feel like when you are talking to friends and family, like they're always going to have your best interest. Like they're biased, you know what I mean? So it's hard and it's confusing. And I feel like we needed that third party to be like, you're not on the same page. You want different things. You're valuing different things in life. Like you're just not, this is not working. Yeah. That helped for sure. I feel like I needed that clarity.
I also love too, you started off, your first video, which has been privated, is No Heat Curls.
Yeah, it is.
Why did you private it? And I mention this because now your content has evolved through waves of YouTube eras to be focused on what you actually want to talk about, which as people in our 30s is like things like relationships, things like breakups. You've carried your audience with you through the LaurDIY evolution.
It just like, one, I'm like, okay, this girl does not know how to fill her eyebrows in. Someone help her. And I just sound and look so different that it's like wholesome. So I recently did a video where I re-answered a Q&A from like 11 years ago or something. And so it's nice to have moments to reflect on, and like that could be public, but at least like I get to have a little say in what's on the internet.
Not just for the public to roast you.
Yeah, because not everything needs to live forever. And like I know that for the most part when you put it on the internet, like it's forever. But like, to have a little bit of control back to private some of the videos that I just don't resonate with anymore.
What are the biggest ways that you think you have changed?
This is such an overused word in this industry now, but authenticity is the biggest thing. Like that word is it's such like a buzzword.
Yeah, okay, but clearly you want to use it for a reason. So
but it does, I feel like resonate because I feel like there was this era that I I feel like I had the most growth in, where we were creating these very like highly saturated, very like played up, everything looks so perfect and like dandy. And it was like this dream-esque visualization of what YouTube videos were at the time.
Yeah.
And people really liked it. And I think during that time, like I look back and I'm like, I was still providing value because there were still like crafts and DIYs involved. And I was like, you know, making textbooks look cute and stuff like that. So like, I don't look back and I'm like, oh, that's a waste of space on the internet. But I look back and I'm like, I just know how fake and forced and just how inauthentic it felt. Because also too, we were making back to school videos when I'd been 5 years out of high school, or like,
yeah, so
even
you're not
than that.
actually going back to school.
Bitch, I'm not going back to school.
Wait, so what's going through your head? Are you just like, well, this is a good video?
Well, it was just what people expected of us at the time. Like, that's what the audience
Because you're DIY
wanted.
girl. You like decorating
DIY girl.
things.
And like, I totally understand that. Like, I'm going to do videos probably forever that I might not, like DIYs for cats. I don't have a cat, but like maybe it fits into the pet category. Like, I understand that there's going to be times where my content overlaps with something that I might not personally be tied to. So like, it wasn't super foreign, the idea of doing a DIY for going back to school, because I had gone to school. I did go to university, and for all those years, I did want to decorate my own notebooks.
But it's very different the type of content you would make now.
But it's very different the type of content now. I feel like there was a shift in the audience of what they wanted, and I was so grateful to be able to not only age up my audience and have people grow with me, again, like in that whole evolution kind of journey, but to be able to just be more authentic and have conversations that I was having in real life, and talking about breakups and talking about like whether it be career stuff or friend drama and stuff like that, to be able to like have things that actually felt more topical to my own life.
Because when you started, and to your point on these more produced pieces, a lot of your old and really popular videos are like music videos. I've seen them.
Oh my God.
Like LaurDIY roasts herself. Like you're like singing it. Like these are like whole sets. And now a lot of what you put out, for example, your podcast, you literally just get on the microphones with your husband and talk about stuff.
Just yap.
You just yap.
You just yap.
Yeah. It's like a huge change. When did you realize that you wanted to do this?
Well, I think the podcast was a strategic shift for me when we started. So I feel like for the maybe like first 2/3 of my career, my audience was much younger. And so,
like what do we say, like 13, 14-year-old girls?
I would say like between 10 to 16
10
maybe.
to 16, yeah.
It was like a younger demographic. And then eventually when I wanted to make the shift to be, you know, more myself and, you know, throw a cuss word in here.
Oh, you
there.
curse so much
Because
now.
I curse a lot.
Yeah, and you talk about penises a lot now. I just want to point that out.
Let's not get crazy.
Oh my God. I was shooting the Wild Till 9. I've heard so much about penises from Lauren, including Jeremy's, that I never needed or wanted to know, but now I do.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah,
and,
of course. And so, yes, there's an evolution from 10 to 16-year-old pre-teens. But I have a lot of female friends who are like, I grew up watching Lauren.
Totally. And like, I love that. It's literally such a wholesome notion. Like, I don't resent the fact that I had a younger audience.
Yeah.
But there definitely was a period where I was like, okay, time to make a strategic shift if I want to still enjoy doing this. And I understand that's going to mean losing maybe the younger audience that is no longer going to be invested in this type of content or feel like it's appropriate for them. So the podcast was, I think, a strategic way to have new content on a whole new platform that could be for a whole new audience. And not to say that there's not crossover, obviously, but to the audience that would be interested, they could also come to the podcast. And I feel like that was kind of like the start of being able to kind of have more mature conversations and talk about penises. I want to be clear. We don't talk about penises that much. Eric is exaggerating so hard.
More than I do on my pod. This is the first time on a Karat podcast we've ever talked about
penises,
this.
And it's my episode. God damn it, Eric.
Yeah, thank you for being the guest to bring this honor us.
Penis topic. Yeah, it's really not that sexual, but we do talk a lot about
you talk about adult things.
Yeah, we talk about yeah. And penises happen to be on adults.
Well, they're on.
Feel free to not finish that sentence.
You know, we're just gonna let that go.
Keep on moving.
Oh my God. Yes. So what I also love about the shifts that you've made, you have a lot of your core audience still with you. It almost feels like it's a very like television-esque type thing where you see a lot of like these like Nickelodeon stars like on Carly, like Miranda Cosgrove. You see them like when they're kids, or like Josh Peck, but then you also see them as adults and they're doing different things and like you're still interested. How did you get your core audience to like continue with you? Is it just they're just like growing older? Like they're just now mirroring the footsteps you're taking, they care about relationships, so you get to talk about relationships type thing?
I think it's a combination of both. Like, I think some people just happen to be aging up as I was making that transition with my content, but I think there's also a large wave of audience who found my content again and was like, oh, I used to watch your videos when I was younger, and now like I'm back in on what you're making and your content because like this resonates with me and the stage of my life that I'm at now. But I think that I've had to work really hard to get that old audience back. I intentionally am also looking for a new audience as well too, because like the new content is obviously so different than the more family-friendly old content from years and years ago. So it was an intentional shift that I knew was going to put me in the red on numbers, which is not always...
So you took a financial hit.
Oh, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily took a financial hit because I was still, like, my core audience was still engaged. And I feel like that's kind of like what's at the core for brand deals, since that's such a large chunk of my revenue. But I definitely took a hit in terms of like, from an analytics perspective of losing subscribers.
Like views and subscribers.
Yeah, exactly. Like I knew that there was going to be like a sweep of people who were going to have a mass exit and not in a good way.
How did that feel when you saw those numbers going down?
Honestly, I took it as a sign of success. This means that it's working. It means that the shift is registering and people are making a conscious decision on whether they want to be engaged on the content moving forward, which was good from my perspective because I was like, I would rather someone decide yes or no on whether they want to like continue to move forward with me or if I'm just not the right fit for them as a creator anymore, which is also totally okay.
It's actually really refreshing to hear that because I feel we're now in an algorithmic short form driven era where it's like, hey, I've made like my little slice of content and people are going to see it and numbers go burr, like metrics go up. And I'm hearing you like specifically be like, no, actually, I am investing in my relationship with my audience outside the algorithm. And if people leave because they don't want to watch me, like that's good. That's fine.
I will say, I think that pertains to longer form vlogs and podcast content on YouTube. But I agree. I think we are very much in an algorithmic like approach and strategy based content space right now for all short form. And so I just had a strategy meeting for 2025 with my manager. And like I have to up my short form content because that's where brands are spending all of their money.
YouTube has changed like 4 different times since you've started.
Oh my God, 4 different times. I feel like there's a shift. I mean, the algorithm I feel like is just so driven by who knows what now that there's been so many shifts.
Like it started when you were on YouTube. What was it like pranks and comedy mainly?
Yeah, I would say that there were just less niches.
Yeah.
And I really love the idea of like there being more niches, that there's a corner of the internet for everyone. Like I love that notion. But I do think that it was more pranks,
like songs,
challenges, skits, like that era, like Ryan Higa, Smosh, Zoella. There was like the British vlogger squad.
Which again, Ryan Higa basically stopped making YouTube content. Smosh literally sold, fell apart, came back together,
and they're doing great
and
now.
You've continued, we love Anthony, and you have continued making content. Again, to my early point, like you are a unicorn. You're the actually genuinely only OG creator I know that has continued on.
I'm definitely not the only one.
But the only one that I know well.
Sure.
I do know a lot of these folks.
Yeah.
And then the second era while you were on YouTube after that was maybe a little more like what, Casey vlog style?
I feel like then there was like the lifestyle girly content, which I feel like where like I had my biggest jump in numbers. So there was all these collabs going on. It was like the Bethany Moda, the Steal a Babe 09. There was Dolce Candy. Like there was all these like makeup girlies and lifestyle girlies. And I feel like that was such a huge niche that really got a lot of attention in that period.
And so even the shift from the comedic side to the lifestyle girly, did you change your content accordingly, or was it just a natural thing you already were shifting toward and it happened to catch the meta at the time?
Although I was like, very consistent and I worked hard and I, was strategic in how I made content, I think I also was really lucky in the sense that I was in the right place at the right time when that era of content was happening.
And then after that era, I mean, we entered a whole like spectacle era, which I call like Mr. Beast, like, I painted 1 million cars today.
Yeah, exactly. Like the who can make the craziest title for like the masses.
How has that era been for you?
I would say it's been the toughest because I feel like on one side it's I feel like the content strategy kind of zooms out to, again, like, how can I make the craziest title for the most amount of people? Like, anytime you hear Jimmy talking about like himself making content, he's like, I just want to have the most people watching my videos, like the most watched challenge in the entire world.
He knows his goal.
He knows his goal, which is great, because I think having like a very clear goal is so key to register what success means to you. But for me, like, I have no interest in that. I have absolutely no interest.
You don't want to follow that playbook.
Not at all. Also, I don't want to paint 1 million Lamborghinis. I don't want to be buried alive in a coffin. And I don't want to stand in a circle for 48 hours.
You could have been like, I'm going to make over 1,000 of my guy friends' rooms.
I feel like ZHC
does this.
He does that really well, where he's combined kind of like an art approach and a Mr. Beast approach.
Actually, ZHC is, the combination. It's you and Mr. Beast.
Yeah, exactly. Like fine art, I feel like.
Yes.
But yeah, he's found a way to do that really, really well. But even like that type of content, I feel like is not necessarily for me. So I really leaned into vlogging, I feel like, in this period, where I was like, I just want to be talking about the things that are happening in my life.
Yes.
And obviously still trying to be strategic in terms of not picking like a stupid title that no one is going to be interested in. Like, strategic in that sense, but trying to just make the priority connecting with the core audience that was still interested in
like
content.
What's going on in your channel, your vlog channel, your main channel, your podcast, it's all naturally manifesting from your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we just talked about the video you did. This was a genuine thing where like I've just been complaining like, oh my God, like I need to have furniture. Like, gosh, who does time to do that? And you were like, well, actually,
Eric, this would be actually really fun. Like I'll do a video and you can have a home and it'll be great.
I will say, so Lauren's one of the fastest friendships I've ever made, which I'm very, very honored by. That was so meaningful to me to have one of your friends come in and be like, let me just help you.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this before, but like the last example you sent me of being like, I'm totally good at making over rooms was of Brie Larson, aka Captain Marvel.
Okay, again, we talked about this in the video, but I was more of just a supporting sidekick in that role.
Okay, still like video, you did a makeover. And so I remember being like, wow, better not fuck this up. So of course I pretty sleep in until 9 a.m. when you came banging on my door. You know, of course, that was the natural progression and such. When you started making content, I recall like you were in college, Canadian, Ryerson University. You had already worked some jobs like as a server.
Oh yeah, I've been working since I was 15.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've been at it. When you started YouTube, was this more like, oh, this could also one day be something that financially supports me? Or was it more just like, I'm having fun?
When I started YouTube, you could not make money on the platform.
Oh, fair.
It was so long ago that there was no financial element whatsoever.
Wow. So what got you to start making videos?
So I initially started a blog, and I started a blog.
That's so OG.
I know, it's
wow,
so
we're really dating.
OG.
Not even a vlog.
Not even a blog.
Wait, like a Zenga?
Like
a live journal?
No. A WordPress.
A WordPress?
I started a WordPress.
Wow.
Blog. Yeah. And so it was just like the creative outlet. I was in
What was it called? Do you remember?
It was called Desire and Inspire.
That's like not, that vibe still like kind of carries on to today.
Worst brand name.
If you went and put your YouTube banner as Desire Inspire, some people would be like, but
it's like a little generic, but like
works.
It's not the worst.
It rhymes. ChatGPT would be proud.
ChatGPT would be proud.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, Desire Inspire. So what did you write it about and like what got you to start?
I was just looking for literally anything creative because I think I had taken art classes throughout all of high school. I got to my university program, fucking hated it.
What were you studying? Why do you hate it?
It was called graphic communications management. I have a degree in printing, the print industry. So like the classes where we did graphic design and we did a whole class on like bookbinding were really fun because they were hands-on and like creative for me. But like the classes that were about the printing industry and like the stretchiness of paper.
Yeah, don't you want to learn about Gutenberg?
I don't give a
Benjamin Franklin?
About the Gutenberg printing press. I really don't.
I love how Gutenberg apparently is from like the deep south.
From the deep south,
of course.
But no, I was very much revolving around the printing industry, and I was like, oh, I fucked up. I've chosen the wrong program, and I hate this.
Yeah.
And again, in this consistency of not being good at quitting things, I was like, you know what? I should just stay. I'll finish out my first year. And then I made some really good friends. And I was like, you know what? It's not that hard. I'll just stay. I'll just keep.
Oh, so you were kind of just resigned. You were just like, well, you know, maybe I did want to learn about the printing press or it's fine.
Oh, no. I was like, I fucking hate this. Okay. But I was like, I'm just going to stay here for the vibes or whatever.
For the vibes?
Also, I want to be clear. Your tuition versus my tuition are worlds apart.
Canada.
It's because Canada.
Canadian tuition is about like $70K a year. 17? 20? How much?
5,500.
Oh my God.
Maybe 6,000.
6K a year?
6K a year, maybe.
Okay, this makes sense. You're like, fine. For the vibes.
For the vibes. So this is my first time. Like, I lived in the same house for the first 18 years of my life. Like, I just moved away. Yeah, exactly.
Who, by the way, are now on Instagram as Mom DIY and Dad DIY too, which is so
Dad
cute.
DIY 1.
Dad DIY 1.
Whoever has the handle at Dad DIY.
Because, Dad DIY is just daddy.
I would pay up to $100 for it because my dad would be hyped about that. That'd be a great Christmas present, just saying.
I feel like the person who owns DADDIY, Daddy on Instagram, probably just wants feet pics.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, which I know you've bragged to me about your Feet Finder profile.
Yeah, 5 stars, baby.
So we're going to keep it blurred out here. Okay. Are you wearing socks?
But anyways, back to the blog. So creative outlet, hated the program, started a blog, was just like, I was thrifting and I was going to like little bead stores and stuff. And so I was literally just taking photos and writing little text blurbs, doing little DIYs and doing like tutorials. It's very wholesome. Yeah, it was just like something to do that kept me interested.
Did you do this in high school too?
Like
no,
I didn't do.
Oh, so it's really like college era, like arts and craftsy.
Oh, arts and crafts I've been doing forever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's like since I've like been a child.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure.
What's like the first few arts and crafts you remember making as a kid? What got you started there?
I feel like as a 90s kid, there were so many craft kits where you buy something that has kind of like everything and you just put it together. So whether it be like little string and bead keychains or those iron beads that melt together.
We had very different childhoods, but I vaguely know what you're talking
and like
about.
Painting and stuff. Yeah. And I got a sewing machine when I was in high school, and so I sewed.
That's why you know how to sew so well.
So I was like very crafty as a kid growing up. So it was like the natural thing to do as a creative outlet. And eventually I was like, you know what, there should be a video tutorial would be so much easier than doing photos and text blurbs.
From the
Transitioned
blog.
To videos, was literally just using YouTube as a platform to upload the video so I can embed it into my blog.
Oh, wow.
And eventually I started finding other creators on YouTube who were native to YouTube. And I was like, oh, this is a whole thing.
It's a thing.
And so I found people like Bethany Moda and I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And so then I got so invested into that world. And so university ended up being kind of like the perfect balance of one, I think learning structure and like how to regiment my schedule to be able to afford time to do both, to do YouTube, what felt like full time, and also have this like university situation happening as well too. Like learning how to schedule and time manage, but it gave me the perfect amount of time to then, when I graduated, go full time where I was then making enough money to support myself.
What point did you realize, hey, I'm going to graduate and like this is going to be my full-time job? / I'm amazed you didn't drop out before.
After the 3rd year, I financially could have been comfortable to go full-time with it. But I didn't. Again, Asian mother who was paying for my degree as well, similar to your situation, where I was like, I should just see this through and finish it.
Makes sense.
And I also had great friends in the program too. So I wanted to finish the whole journey with them, the 4 years. There was definitely a large part of me that was like, I wish that I could dedicate all of my time.
Right. And so you graduate. What I love. Yep. And you're like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, and I was like, oh my God, I have so much time in a day. And so I immediately started working on my visa application to be able to move to LA. And so I did bi-coastal for like maybe 6 to 9 months until that got sorted. Because my management was in LA at the time. All of the other YouTubers that I was collabing with, when I feel like collabing was so essential to your growth, that was all in LA. And eventually I was in a relationship with someone that lived in LA as well too. So
how did that happen, by the way? And how do you feel now, looking back, about dating somebody in this space?
Wouldn't do it again, personally. Because I think that it's very difficult, especially at the beginning of relationships, to draw boundaries. It's so difficult, especially when, you're vlogging or just doing quick little like TikToks. It's so easy for there to be overlap between content. And so I think that those boundaries are so easy to blur that not even having to think about that now with my husband, Jeremy, is so incredible.
Because Jeremy comes from more the tech and business side of things.
Yeah, for sure.
And now he does content with you, but it's not he was doing content before.
Totally. And with the podcast, I feel like if we were to get divorced tomorrow, everything that we've said on the podcast, like, because we're having real conversations and it's how we felt at that time.
Still true.
It's still true, where I feel like people get really caught up in posting like these highlight reels of their life and their relationship, which is definitely what I kind of like got sucked into. And so looking back on
when
it,
you were dating that YouTuber.
it doesn't feel authentic. And so I think now, And again, too, like the podcast is both of like our side projects. Like we both have our main career, and this is a nice little fun side project that if at any time it's interfering with the health of our relationship, we abandon. And we've both agreed upon that before we even started. We sat down and had a super serious conversation on like, even if financially this is killing, if this is interfering with the health of our relationship, it's not worth it.
It's so funny. I feel I had this exact same discussion on the side podcast I do with my friend Chloe, or like if this exactly is ever hurting the friendship, is not worth it. I actually do think pods work best when they are side projects, because otherwise it's just like an Ouroboros, like snake eating its own tail, like podcasts about what else is happening in your life, but the entire focus of your life is on podcasting.
Right.
And that's like scary because there's nothing
then what are you
else
talking about?
Happening.
Yeah, you're just talking about podcasts.
Exactly.
You're podcasting about podcasts.
But you like have to get content out.
Yeah.
Because that's how you make a living.
That's how you make a living. Right. And you know what? Like there are some couples obviously who can make this work and
of course.
Can work in harmony, and so happy for them. But I do feel like it is very, very difficult to have your entire financial situation rely on the exploitation is not the right word, but at the end of the day, sometimes it's what it can feel like.
Yeah. I remember I was once in a relationship that was like in the process literally of breaking up. And she really wanted to kind of like, we should do a podcast. She's like, I know it would kill. I was like, yeah, I know people would watch this. They'd love to watch the work in progress train wreck of a relationship fall apart in real time. Like part of me is like actually gets it. I'm like, from like a social experiment, artistic POV, this would be interesting to both watch and make.
Yeah.
Like, I get it, but also no.
I think it's also tough to have two people who, not necessarily saying that like I want to be the star and I want to be in the spotlight, but like Jeremy does not want to be in front of the
Jeremy, your husband actively avoids the spotlight.
He runs away.
Does not want to be there.
Yeah. I think he actually enjoys the spotlight much more than I do in terms of like, if I think about public speaking.
Totally.
He's so incredible at public speaking, but like I would have nervous poops for 3 days
you're
leading up
very
to
good
that.
at it.
Thank you so much. Not a learned skill. Still cooking. I think having two people who, I don't know, want social media to be their full career is tough. It's just so hard.
There's not enough room. It's kind of like they say, like, leave room for Jesus in between you.
When you're dancing.
Exactly. This is like the version. It's like, if you got Instagram in between, ain't nothing else there.
Yeah. So when I went back into the dating field, I was like, I want someone who posts on Instagram once a year, if that.
Wow, you were looking...
And I found one.
Yeah, for someone who is not doing what you do.
I think his entire feed right now is just like collab posts that we posted together like when we got married.
It's the cutest thing ever. He just reshares everything you share. Also, I will say, I know it is still so adorable to me that Jeremy, your husband, met you in a work context.
Yeah.
But waited respectfully until he matched with you on a dating app.
The full context, I feel like, is that we were both in other relationships when we met.
You have to be extra respectful.
Yeah. So it wasn't even like, we weren't even considering each other in that sense.
Totally.
And then fast forward like 2 years later, then we were both single. He saw me on Raya and was like, oh, she's single. I remember her. And then
interest was peaked.
Interest was peaked and was like, oh, she's on the market. Saw me on Raya, DM me on Instagram. I missed it on Instagram. I saw him on Hinge and messaged him on Hinge.
So, there's mutual attraction.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. You're each other's type.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah?
No, actually, Jeremy, I feel like...
Was not your type?
No, Jeremy is my type.
Glad you've realized this about your husband.
All my past relationships, I feel like everyone's looked really different. I have like somewhat of a type. I'd be like, oh, I think this type of person is good looking, but all my boyfriends have looked very different in the past. Like, when you see someone and they date the same looking person every single time and you're like, oh, they have a type. I feel like neither of us are like that.
Totally. So your type is you don't have a type.
My type is that I don't have a type.
Cool. Makes sense. I completely resonate with as you know, I'm seeing somebody now who I've also known for like a couple of years, but like we were in relationships. And so it's just funny how you just like don't look at them that way.
Yeah, right.
Until you do.
It wasn't an option then. And then you're like, oh, and now that a different light has shone and you're like, oh, wait.
Your life too, as you said, you moved to LA, you're collaborating with folks, like you're dating another creator. And now so much of the content you make comes from your life. Are there areas you've learned, are you the point of doing this for over 10 years where you're like, oh, this is stuff I will never make content about? / do you want to make content forever? Is this the steady state of your life going forward?
Oh my God, do I want to make content forever? It's such a terrifying question.
Why?
It's such an up and down journey. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's a single creator who's like just feels stable and consistent every single day of their career. Like it's just impossible with like how the climate of social media changes so often. It's really hard to feel secure. And I feel like I'm someone who really, really values security. Like, I think if I had some kind of safety net of just like I won the lottery or something and I had all this money sitting in the bank, would I still make content? Yes, for sure. Because I do really enjoy it and I love connecting with people about things like anxiety and like my love for dogs and my love for plushies. Like that
was truly a list of 3 things for all time: anxiety, dogs, plushies.
Like those
LaurDIY.
Those are the 3 cores of my existence. I guess things. DIYs and crafts.
Oh,
and
like, DIY was the 4th one.
And that's the 4th one. But plushies, anxiety, and dogs come before that for sure. But like, I love having a community of people who just enjoy the same things. Or even like reading. I've gotten into reading the past year. And having a community of people who are interested in the same things, it's just so wholesome to connect with people that have totally different backgrounds, come from totally different places, and to have that community.
So that's what you enjoy, like getting to talk about stuff you care about and finding other people care about it. How do you grapple? I mean, the very first thing on your list of, dogs, plushies, DIY, books was anxiety. You literally just were like, there's a lot of ups and downs in this.
Yeah.
So how do you ride those waves? What are the moments where you felt most this is good and the moments where like, oh my fucking God, this is falling apart? And how do you go through those as somebody like I have anxiety as well?
So I think to start with that question, I think when I feel good is when I have a plan and some kind of schedule. And what I've learned is that like even having a short-term plan helps me feel more secure and stable. Like I need consistency in my life to feel okay. And that helps, I think, mitigate anxiety. So for example, December is coming up and that's Vlogmas where we vlog every single day. So you just
focus on Vlogmas and you don't almost like need to be anxious because I'm just going to do this.
Yeah, because like I know exactly what I'm doing for the next 24 days starting on December 1st.
Are you putting on a vlog every day?
Every day.
That is insane. Have you done this before?
I do it every year.
Oh my God.
I know, but there's usually like a couple days where I'll fall off or something will happen or there'll be like an editing issue.
It's kind of amazing you're even here right now. Like,
no, I know. We have 4 podcasts for the next couple days because like we're prepping for Vlogmas chaos.
Yeah, you have to film ahead of time.
But like because I know that like I have a plan and I've got some content scheduled, I've got some like outings scheduled, I can work towards this short-term content schedule.
Yeah, it keeps you sane. But like again, going to the point of the balance and boundaries between content and life, you have to film a vlog every single day. Does that mean like, hey, we're at Friendsgiving, you're like, hey, let me film it?
Obviously, if Jeremy and I are having an off day and we like have to have serious conversations about literally whatever it might be, like that's obviously not something that's going to go online.
Well, obviously that's not going to be a vlog. So like, here's a vlog
My husband and
of
I
just
fighting today.
Jeremy and I just sitting at each other being angry.
Actually,
that'd be hilarious.
No, but that like would probably
like performance art piece.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I try to schedule, even if it's just like an outing to Target or going to get lunch with a friend.
This could be something.
This could be something because people just like love the daily check-in.
Yeah, your life.
I always say that like if people, and people have proven this, that if people are live streaming 24 hours a day, there's going to be an audience.
Oh, yeah. Like Ludwig's done this. Yeah. And, they make money when they're sleeping and like pooping.
Totally. Which is crazy.
Yeah. The parasocial goes strong.
It goes so strong. So it's a fun push for December, and then January gets to be a little more chill.
Okay, so short-term planning helps you handle that anxiety.
Yes, for sure.
And so has the duration of your career been just repeatedly, I got to do this next, I got to do this next?
Yeah, and it makes time go by really fast, which is kind of scary.
Yeah.
Because I think I plan in short bursts. Not to say that I don't sit down at the beginning of the year and be like, okay, what are some goals this year? But I do think that anything can change and anything can shift at literally any time. And if I think about that for too long, it makes me spiral.
Yeah.
So I just go, in chunk by chunk, and whether that chunk be only 2 weeks or it be 2 months or it be 6 months.
Yeah.
I try and just set myself a schedule of a plan for the next whatever it might be, just like in little segments to stay sane.
And do you do this? So this works for content. Has that worked for like your business, your financials, your relationship? Do you do similar things to help mitigate anxiety, or do you not have anxiety in those areas as much?
I would say I have less anxiety there because I have so much support. So I have a full business management team who makes sure that I like set aside enough money for taxes, and we pay quarterly, and they help me with expenses and making sure that like my LLC and my Inc. and everything's structured properly. So I think having the support is like, I will.
Well, what did you do though before you had those business managers to help you out? Like at one point, it's just
folders of receipts.
Oh, so you actually used to do this yourself?
There was one year that I used QuickBooks and just did it myself, and it was awful. Like, I did my expenses myself, and it was literally awful. And then I hired an accountant that would have been, I guess, like the midway step to help me with it. And then eventually I was able to get a full business manager,
Makes
which
sense. You're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Literally, like, that was one of the first things. It's just one of those things that's so serious that if you don't do this right, there are like serious repercussions of it.
Absolutely.
So if I could afford it, even if it meant, less budget for X, Y, or Z, for me, that's worth it.
For Target holiday birdos.
For what?
Target holiday
birds. If I have
burbs.
to buy one less Target holiday burb to have a business manager, I will.
How do you now think about the business side of what you do today? Both in terms like what are the things you want to do next from a business POV beyond just a content creative POV, and also from like for instance, do you know like the breakdown of your revenue today? Like, do you feel good about that? Do you want it to change?
I have no idea the breakdown of my revenue. I have literally no idea. I think that also helps mitigate anxiety for me personally, is like not knowing exactly how much money I'm up or down from last year at the same time, especially with like brand deals. It can be up and down. You have no idea if you're going to get a deal tomorrow or in 30 days from now. It's one of those things that because that's not necessarily in my control, I would just rather not know.
And you have other people you trust.
Yeah, who I know would flag me if something was like really, really wrong, or if we were like so off track to like be kind of in the same
Then it would be flagged
zone.
to your attention and be like, hey, we got to do something.
Yeah, like,
and so if you don't hear from them because you trust them and you know folks have it,
everything's
you're
okay.
like, everything's okay, and I can focus on the vlogs,
which is
content.
like that's my job, is to make the content and to partner with brands and to just like that's what my specialty is. It's like, why should I be wasting my own anxiety that I could put into my own job?
I love how you're just like you're rationing out your anxiety.
I'm rationing
Basically,
it out.
It's like the number of fucks you have to give.
Yeah,
you're like, these fucks need to go here.
Totally, and I feel like you have to prioritize your fucks.
Do you creatively still feel inspired?
Again, I think in waves. I think depending on where my content strategy is. Like right now, I think with Vlogmas coming up, I feel really inspired.
Yeah.
I'm excited and I'm like looking very much forward, even though it is something that I feel like burns me out every single year. It's always really fun.
Yeah.
And it's worth it. But yeah, the answer is yes.
Does Jeremy work with you a lot on your business, to your point of being able to trust the people around you?
Mm-hmm.
Does he think through some of those financials in addition to your business manager, or do you keep them more separate?
I would say everything for the most part is pretty separate. Obviously, with the podcast, we're 50-50 on that. So he has visibility and transparency into everything that I do. He, I would say, is more supportive in terms of a strategy approach. Like if I'm trying to craft an email to relay some kind of sentiment that I'm not sure about, like I would run that by him.
Right.
Or if I'm stuck on how to position a video idea, like just to get a temperature check, I feel like he's really great.
You can be like, hey, what do you think?
Yeah. To just like be a brainstorm partner.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And how do you think about, like, you've spun out more lines? Like, again, the context we initially were supposed to talk was in the investing side. A lot of YouTubers never even touch that piece. Like there have been a few, like Ashton Kutcher is a prolific investor.
Totally.
Right? Like people don't really know this, but like Jared Leto is as well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're following that path. Where did this evolve from?
This evolved from my very first investment was through a texting platform called Community, where
which is still going on today.
Yeah,
it's grown a lot.
Crushing.
They're doing well. Yeah,
they're doing really well.
Yeah,
I
and
know.
Ashton Kutcher also is an investor,
also an investor in that
yes,
one. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I know. I'm like, come on, Community,
got this.
do good.
Yeah.
But I caught the attention of some of the higher ups there with a video that I made. And that was the introduction to the possibility of being involved in a company in just like a more meaningful way versus just like an exchange for a brand deal. So that was the introduction where I was like, oh, this is even an option. Like I had no idea, because I feel like most YouTubers don't have a business degree. Like I didn't know what a seed round was or like a safe agreement, like that. Those are things that
the fact that you even know what a safe agreement is actually very impressive.
And I barely know. Like, let's be so clear. Like, I barely know.
For those of you who don't know, a safe is the usual instrument that somebody used to put money into a company. It stands for a simple agreement for future equity, SAFE, safe. And I'm not going to go into the mechanics. You can Google it, but the fact that you know what it is kind of insane.
But I feel like I've had so much imposter syndrome in this space because I feel like I know nothing. And I'm at the very beginning of this journey and I've had to play catch up with everyone else that...
But what I love about you is you're so refreshingly honest. Like you just want to learn. You just ask questions for things you don't know.
Yeah. I just feel like every time anyone's ever asked me a question, I've always been like, oh,
yeah.
Like I'm so... And so I try and put myself in the reverse to be like, not only does it put the person in a position of, you know, it feels good to know something to inform someone in a helpful way. And so to be on the receiving side of that, like, I just think that that's the best way is just be transparent. Just be like, I don't know what this is. Do you mind explaining this to me?
So you've evolved from, hey, like, I'm just posting desire and inspire blogs on little things I like to do from a DIY POV to, oh, I'm in LA, I'm collabing with creators to, oh, like this is like a business. I have a business manager. And now it's a big part of your life, right? Like you do your podcast with your husband. Now you invest. Is there a world where you think you'll go and build additional businesses? 'Cause some creators decide to either partner with a company to release products or they'll actually go, we mentioned Amanda Rachley earlier, like she has her own stationery line.
Yeah.
Are these things that you think about as well in the future?
Yeah, so I'm working on something right now, but I'm not gonna
stealth.
I'm still in such early stages that I don't want to be that creator that's like, I'm working on something that's so exciting and I'm so excited. Because I as a viewer, I'm like, bitch, why would you even say that? Like, stop, just stop. So like, I don't even want to give any inklings because I don't want to get, you know what I mean? It's like,
you don't want to be, I love your impression. You're like, I'm not trying to like get you to buy this. You're like, I'm actually just working on it.
I'm just working on it. It's still cooking. It's still cooking. And I want to make sure because I also don't have the final product yet. Like I'm still in the manufacturing stage of getting a sample.
But like you're doing it yourself. You're not even like going and like partnering with these companies. Like I'll do everything for you. Just like put the stamp for approval. You're like figuring out the details.
Yeah. Which has been fun. Like it's been
well, can I ask why? Because you don't have to. No, I'm curious, genuinely.
I think it's from an ownership and learning perspective. Like, I think that it's so easy to pass off every hard part of a process when you're partnered with a company that is able to just pick up the pieces that you don't want to do. And so I wanted to challenge myself just to see.
You wanted to do it.
Like, what would happen? Like, can I do this? Can I figure it out? I take a lot of inspiration.
You take a lot of inspiration from?
I take a lot of inspiration from Cassie, from the Blogilates brand and Popflex. Like, she has
Is that what you're wearing right now?
Yeah, this sweater's Popflex.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. I was like, this is Popflex.
Yeah.
But actually, so are my leggings. Oh my God, I'm just full Popflex girly right now. But she has very much just been of the mindset, like, I just went and did it. Like, I just went.
She's built a giant business. Like, she doesn't even need to, like, be on camera anymore.
Oh, she's built an empire, a total empire. She's been a huge inspiration in terms of, like, just figuring it out. And so I've challenged myself just to see how far I can get until I need help. And if it ends up being that I get all the way to the end and I still have 100% ownership, like,
oh, amazing.
Yeah. And if I have to accept help along the way, then, you know, that happened too. So we'll see.
So this is to the initial topic of areas you're still baking.
Areas that are still cooking is learning manufacturing and shipping and...
This is so specific. It's like, 1, learn how to set boundaries. 2, learn third-party logistics and how to coordinate with factories.
Exactly, and how to
like these are LauraDIY's areas for improvement.
Except for that, I have no tips to give on improving them yet because I'm still trying to figure them out
You're still going through them.
Yeah, exactly.
You're still going through them.
Exactly. But it's been fun to learn because it's like just a different side of the business.
What about from a content POV? What do you think you're still baking on? Yeah.
Storytelling is something that every creator is probably continuously trying to improve.
Yeah.
I feel like the last couple of years have all been about like the hook. Like what's the hook for the short
like the
form?
Thumbnail, the title.
What's the thumbnail, the title,
the
what's
intro.
Like the hook of the first 5 seconds. And I think storytelling and being strategic without being inauthentic is something that every creator is still cooking on.
You're really good at this. I know the vlog you did where you went shopping for me. You called it shopping for my bachelor boy space friend.
Yeah.
Because everyone should be like, boyfriend? Lauren? Who? What?
I know. I also didn't want to just make it like going shopping for my friend because like it just piques curiosity of
you found the right balance.
Like the guy friend that is getting their roommate over.
Yes. And since I was single during that era, you were very kind and passing on. You're like, someone seems interested in you. I was like, nice.
Oh yeah.
I appreciate
to be like,
that.
Go slide into this man's DMs.
Yeah, it's very sweet of you.
He's gonna have a couch soon, and so that means.
And now I have the couch.
And now you have the couch.
When you say you want to improve storytelling, so I know a lot of creators eventually, like Michelle Khare is a great example, where she produces a lot of television era style shows. And there's a lot of creators who like want to go into Hollywood. Now, you're in a unique position because you kill it as a creator. You also have had your own HBO show, Craftopia, which by the way got like really good reviews. Like over 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Literally so wholesome and cute.
Yeah. Did you like, I think I mentioned to you once, you didn't know like it was critically reviewed well, did you?
I had no idea.
Wow. So you were just like raw dogging it and you're just like, didn't want to check if people liked it.
I guess because it's just such a different process than how YouTube comments work. I never even thought about how I'd have to go looking for reviews.
One reviewer called you Millennial Martha Stewart.
That was from they got that from a Forbes.
How do you feel about that?
Minus the jail and the friendship with Snoop Dogg,
You don't want a friendship with Snoop Dogg?
That would be sick. That'd be so slay. But like, I'm not buds with Snoop Dogg. But I feel like there are some similarities. But I feel like she's more homemaker vibes.
And you're more what vibes? Not homemaker.
Soft, plushy, delicate, anxious DIY girl.
Soft, anxious, plushy doggo vibes. So millennial Martha Stewart, but just like without jail and Snoop Dogg.
Without jail and Snoop Dogg, yeah.
So, both of those, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
Well, TBD. We'll see.
My earlier point is from a storytelling ambition POV, obviously you want to continue to get better at doing it on YouTube. Do you want to go back and do it more in the traditional entertainment area? / like, how was that Craftopia experience for you, especially given you come from this as a YouTuber?
Craftopia was so much fun. It was such a unique opportunity that I would do 100 times over. It was
so like in a heartbeat. Yes, you do it again.
Oh, absolutely. In the same way that I'm not chasing the spotlight, I think the hosting position is really nice in that you're helping move the story along and just helping like highlight the other characters.
You're coordinating like a reality TV show-esque type thing where other people were putting together craft creations.
Yes.
That's interesting though, by the way. You said not chasing the spotlight, which is something you said about Jeremy as well.
Yeah.
So here's a question, like, do you want more viewers and followers or more just I want to keep doing what I'm doing?
I kind of want to just keep doing what I'm doing. And if it includes having a bigger community of people who are like-minded, then that's great. But I'm also, again, like, I don't want to make content for the masses.
Yeah, you're never going to be like, oh, this is a cool title that people would watch just for that. And it's not part of your life.
Because I think that my content would look very different if my goal was similar to Mr. Beast, or I wanted to make the most videos with the most views for the most people in the world.
What's kind of scary, though, is I talk about this, Jack Conte, the CEO of Patreon, the algorithm does promote that type of content.
Definitely.
And so I think for me, my biggest fear is we wake up one day and it's dominated by people who figured out how to game that system in that way.
Yeah.
Meaning that you hold on to people who've already followed you, but it's hard for new people to find you.
Yeah. I do think that is something that I think about as well too. But again, if I think about it too much, then I'll spiral.
Okay, we're not not spiral.
I think the way that I've kind of processed that is that with short form, I think there's a lot more opportunity to do things to have that viral moment, and maybe it gets them to the vlog that is like a little more.
Your short form is so wholesome though. Yeah. Like your short form is like having your doggos try vegetables and see the crunchy sounds they make.
And there's a niche for that. There's like people,
oh my God, it's so cute.
There's just so much dark and heavy content that sometimes you just want to watch a dog eat a carrot.
Yeah, sometimes you just want to watch a dog eat a carrot and feel good about life.
Yesterday I went to Build-A-Bear and I made a capybara that looked like a cookie and it had pajamas on.
I've been seeing you post that capybara on your socials all over. The capybara wearing holiday clothes. And seeing your dogs, like you put it right next to your dogs, and we see your dogs like eye it suspiciously.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, who this
so, like,
motherfucker?
Sometimes like that's just like a piece of
it's
content that is just like
no,
cute
I love it.
fun.
I truly believe that the content you create, right, is either going to entertain, inspire, or educate. Mm-hmm. Entertainment is actually a really, really important part of just what it means to be human and continue to exist. And feel good about things.
No, I totally agree.
Well, I was saying, so initially the framing when you were like, actually, you don't care as much about chasing the spotlight. And it was nice because on Craftopia, you were a host.
Yeah.
And you're getting to show other people's creations in the context of, I was like, hey, do you want to do Craftopia again? And what did you learn from it that you appreciate? It was different from how you usually create content. Did you do so on an HBO production?
I mean, traditional production is crazy big and crazy slow and crazy expensive. I think that I can't remember what the exact number was, but it might have been like...
Wait, no, say the number.
I have to double check.
Okay. How much do you think they're spending per episode?
$170,000 or something per episode.
How much do you spend on a YouTube video?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday on my Build-A-Bear, I spent I think $34.
Right, so
and I edited myself.
So you spent $34 on your Build-A-Bear, but this is interesting, right? $34 on your Build-A-Bear video, which probably at this point on Instagram, your reel probably has over 100,000 views.
Definitely.
Versus 200K on a Craftopia episode.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how many people were watching. Probably a pretty good number, but probably not that many. Yeah, not as many as you're getting on your YouTube.
Exactly.
So like, I'm curious, now that you've gone through the traditional side, it's like a lot of people these days are prognosticating. They're all theorizing. They're like, YouTube is eating Hollywood faster than Hollywood is eating YouTube.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this, having been through both?
I think that there is space for both to thrive, and I think that there can be cross-pollination.
Yeah.
Like, I think that Michelle is someone who's a great example of, like, Michelle and Sam and Colby are all great examples of, I think, making content that can thrive in a more traditional
Sam and Colby did a movie screening for one of their pieces. Yeah,
they've literally been making scary movies on YouTube for years. Like, that's just what they do, and they do it so well, and they've got such a great fan base. So I think that there's space for both. I think for me personally, I don't necessarily fit into like a director, producer position in terms of coming up with the content.
Why not? You come up with great content.
No, but like, I guess not for traditional. It's not my specialty.
Yeah.
And I feel like I just don't know. I love being a viewer of traditional content, but I don't seek being a part of that machine, I guess, because like transparency is so tough. Like even with our show, like we didn't hear back on like success for so long, or like if you get greenlit for a new season.
To even know
what's going on. Like I just like the loss of control, I think, was hard for me. And there's only so much you can do. Like if you're canceled, you're canceled. And like Craftopia got canceled in the huge sweep of all of the unscripted shows on the HBO side when the merger happened.
It's literally things outside your control.
Totally.
Even though it got really good reviews.
Yeah. So like I just can't imagine the heartbreak that like writers and producers go through. Like I think about Batgirl. Was that the movie that got fully shot?
Batwoman.
Batgirl.
It was Batwoman.
Batwoman?
She's a woman, Laura. This is 2024.
She's a woman.
She's a woman.
But like I can't even imagine, like that didn't even go
right.
out.
And it was actually like basically ready to go.
It was totally ready to go.
And they cut it.
And so like I just can't.
That whole movie.
And every single person who dedicated so many months of their life to that, even if you're just like a grip or like a key light person, you know, like
killer.
I just can't imagine having that little control.
Yeah,
so
you're like, no, thank you.
Yeah. So digital just feels like I can make something that's so fast. I can make whatever I want. I can put the right people together on my team to like make it be what I want it to be.
Okay, I love that. So going through areas for Lauren to be baked. So we started with number 1, like setting boundaries. Number 2, learning how to work with third-party logistics and manufacturers.
Shipping and fulfillment.
Number 3, learning more around storytelling and understanding more how you feel about YouTube versus traditional. So anyway, let's go with number 4. What about like, I'm kind of amazed you do all of this, and yet like, I see you at pickleball all the time. Like we play, for those of you who don't know, Laura, we play so much pickleball.
We play so much pickleball.
So much pickleball.
It's crazy.
I've literally met, and I was so honored for this, I've met your parents.
Through pickleball?
Through pickleball, which you invited my friend Zach and me, and we took this very seriously. We were texting each other. We're like, it was like, we're meeting her
the
parents. Like, don't be late. Like, Zach, are you on time? Like, where the fuck are you? Like, bring extra pedals.
You guys were so on time. You were there before us.
And Zach and I both are usually not on time.
Yeah.
And we came in, and I was like, hello, Mr. Rima. And he's just like, just call me. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know. Feels weird, but okay.
So yes, we play a lot of pickleball.
We play a lot of pickleball, which, by the way, Lauren is very good. I would say one of the best female players.
That you know personally.
Well, sure. I'm sure there's
I was
like
going to say there are one
pros
bajillion.
or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But like you're good. And we're gonna roast Jeremy here just a little bit.
Okay.
When we played recently, I actually played better with you than with Jeremy. Did you notice score wise?
Oh yeah, because when we played the other Did
you notice this?
Yeah.
Oh, so you did know this.
He was having a rough night. He was
I could tell because I know he gets upset when he's not playing well.
He's not playing well. He was big mad.
Yeah, he was angry. I can feel it.
Jeremy was mad at Jeremy.
Yes, Jeremy's mad at Jeremy. But we played really well, which for a long time you did not believe that we could.
Because we're very anxious.
We are both so anxious.
We're super anxious. And so I feel like when things start going poorly, I feel like
everything collapses.
Our anxiety levels rise together. And it's not the same positive sentiment as rising tides, whatever
rising tide lifts all boats. It's like we all drown.
Yeah, exactly.
No, but like you're so good at this. And so I do, again, this is like what's fascinating about so long. Like the whole process of getting to know you has almost been like, like the advent calendar where every day you open up something and it's a gift and it's a surprise.
Yeah.
I feel like getting to know you over the course of this year as every month has felt like an advent calendar where I'm like,
it's so
wait,
nice.
like, no, because I met you, I'm like, month one, I was like, wow, she seems so cool.
So normal.
Yeah, no, I would say normal. I'm not normal.
Yeah.
No, you've been a YouTuber for 10 years.
Yeah.
Where was this a normal path?
Yeah, you're right. That's not normal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, she seems like really great. Like she has this really loving, healthy relationship. She's like got great content. She's in her business. She like has hobbies and things like pickleball. I'm like, okay, but like,
Weird. There's gotta be one of these advent doors is gonna open up something crazy.
no, but then I'm like, wow, she's actually just great.
No, just wait. I'm sure there's something.
No, like none of us are perfect. We're all like human beings.
Yeah, beans.
But like that's human beings. I so want to highlight you to your viewers and be like, she's actually all that.
That's very nice.
Like every advent calendar little door has opened, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's exactly who she has been, but more
presented.
Exactly. It was kind of amazing. And I think like it's so fun playing pickleball with you because it's like you do so many things, but you also have hobbies like a normal person.
I've not always had hobbies though.
Oh, so this is evolution.
Yeah, I've not always actually.
Have you?
Maybe I have always.
You're like, have I been a good human being?
Have I been a good, balanced, well-rounded? Maybe not.
Fully baked.
Probably not always.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe not always. But like, I've definitely, I mean, similar to you, like you have a very like regimented workout routine.
Yeah, I go fucking nuts.
Yeah, like I've always had some kind of like, so like right now I'm really into like Pilates and Legree, but like before I've been really into boxing. And so I've always had. Used to box, yeah.
Wow.
I've never like aside from like the trainer, I've never like hit anyone.
You haven't like assaulted.
Yeah, no.
But
But like just for like exercise. But like that was like a hobby, and I've gotten really back into reading. But I also think it's I have a very stable home life, and that's allowed me to have more hobbies.
So Jeremy, it's like it's obviously still things to figure out, but it's good. So you have time to do other things.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you're not fighting with your significant other, like you've got time to like enjoy your free time.
Yeah, that's such a good boss.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what I mean?
In the theme of areas for Laura to continue baking in your hobbies and extracurriculars, I guess is what we're going to call them. What are the things that you have goals for yourself there?
I think consistency. I mean, everything goes out the window in December for Vlogmas because like it's
Vlogmas
just,
takes over.
It takes over everything. It's just a content cycle machine.
Yes. Will be content YouTuber.
Yeah. I think overall just like wellness is something that wellness and continued education is something that I feel like I'm trying to be more intentional about.
Yeah.
I just got this app called Headway. This is not sponsored. But they basically summarize really popular health and wellness and like self-help books in like 15 minutes. And so you can consume a lot of like, yeah, it's really cool.
Like, what are you using for like nonfiction things?
Yeah, for like nonfiction, because like sometimes it's.
I know you read a lot of smut.
Real off smut,
so
real off, yeah.
Are these 15 minutes like she found the Minotaur?
Yeah.
They did
Minotaur.
They did the deed. End of story. And I just picture you be like, that was a good 15 minutes.
No. It's like, here are the top level takeaways from this book about like the 80-20 rule or whatever it might be.
This is business talk coming out right
here. Yeah. But like, because I do want to read more books like that.
Former friends and followers, what is the 80-20 rule?
Well, the 80-20 rule is... I know.
Like, did I retain this?
Well, no, I feel like how I use the 80-20 rule in terms of like wellness and food from a food approach is like I try and eat healthy 80% of the time, and then the 20% is like more flexible. And so like that's like the approach.
It's good enough.
It's good enough. Yeah, exactly. And so like that's like a way that the 80-20 rule can like apply to different parts. It can apply to so many different things, but that's how I use it in my life. But it's been really nice because I think a lot of times if it takes 10 to 15 hours to read a full nonfiction book and you're trying to retain things, like it can be tough to get through and hard to be motivated to get through it.
I'm so impressed. I remember you were asking me about
the lean startup. Yeah.
And I recommended a few books, including the lean startup, which for those of you who don't know, it says start with a minimum viable product, then iterate. There's been some discussion now since then of is that actually the best and optimal method? Yep. For a long time, it was considered the gold standard. And you read it in like a week. It was insane.
Yeah, like I'm trying to be intentional about consuming more nonfiction books. But this has been a great way to consume at a faster pace and just like retain the high level points of it without having to get into the nitty gritty. And then like my plan is that if there's a book that I feel like I probably need to read, more than just the top line of 15 minutes of the audio takeaway, then, I can go get it.
So your fourth and final area after, setting boundaries, third-party manufacturing logistics, storytelling, your fourth and final is learn and read more.
Yeah. You know what?
Business-wise.
Jeremy is someone who inspires me so much because in this realm, because he knows a lot about a lot.
He does. He's
And
very knowledgeable.
I know.
And he lets us know it.
And he lets you know it.
He lets us know
He lets you know it. And so a lot of the times, and so one, it's infuriating. But it does inspire me to learn more about things that I don't know about, because I feel like it's really easy to get stuck into this like YouTube social media bubble.
Like our little LA slice.
Yeah, right. Because we live in like a very
Totally.
blue state, and we live in LA, and we live in like this social media. It's really, really easy
A
to
lot of our friends are creators and entrepreneurs.
and have similar, exactly. So it's like I'm trying to make a more intentional effort about getting outside of the bubble.
I like it too, because anything that, reminds Jeremy to stay humble, if you can drop knowledge on him.
Yeah, maybe. And listen, like if we're in a contest about who can name more dog breeds, like I'm gonna win.
You're going to roast.
But I want to have more categories that I feel strong and confident about.
This has been fun.
Thank you for having me.
Unlike how we started, you're not going to leave me hanging this time.
Oh boy. Here we go. I thought you were gonna leave me hanging as payback there.
No, that would be cruel and petty. All right, friends. Thanks so much for watching.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. That was good. How do you feel?
Good.